Hello and welcome back to my channel where I yap about card games. Of course, there has been big news in the Digimon card game. We just received a new ban list, so I figured might as well go ahead, talk through it, talk through my thoughts, and talk through the decks that I'm running. So first things first, let's take a look at the ban list itself. So here we have the announcement from the Digimon card games official channel talking about what the ban and restricted list. This will be live September 1st. If we take a look at the actual cards here, first things first, they just straight up banned Sayoko. This makes me a bit sad as a pure Galaxy player, but it makes a lot of sense because at this point they need to put so many cards in the pair ban with Sayoko in order to stop people from exploiting it, trying to get infinite turns. I'll link one in the description of this video if you want to check out what that infinite turn combo was. But effectively, there was already a pair ban with this card and Zubamon. It just so happened that with the Agumon, Gabumon, and Dual Tamer Mat Tai, you can also end up with infinite turns, so they just decided straight up ban it. It's not as critical to Galaxy. It lets Galaxy get around some protection, but it's better that it's not an issue moving forward. Then we see the banned pair. We have here Chaosmon Valderarm as well as Talmon and Sakuyamon X Antibody. This is clearly trying to stop the OTK side of the Sakuyamon X combo. I think this is valid. There is concern here that like Sakuyamon X can still just go wide or just stall and control using Ruin Mode because Ruin Mode isn't restricted. But Chaosmon lets you gain memory, get Sec +1, and its unsuspending is a huge deal versus Ruin Mode. Unsuspending, it's like, okay, one extra check. It's better than 3 extra checks that you can get with the Chaosmon Valderarm. Plus, Chaosmon Valderarm has its own control element. So I think this is a fair band pair. I think that Sakuyamon still has a chance to be good. We do see a restriction down here to both Sakuyamon from P19 as well as the Digivolution plugin S. I think that's also understandable given how powerful that deck was, and I do still believe that the deck can function. Then if we start looking at the restricted cards at the very left, we have Gravity Crush and Parabolic Junk. These make sense. I know a lot of people say, why restrict Parabolic Junk? Nothing big has happened using Parabolic Junk. But the key point is nothing big has happened yet. I personally believe back when they hit Hammer Spark and then hit Blinding Ray, every single zero cost gain memory option card should have been removed. Just make your life easier, restrict, in my opinion, ban every single one of these zero cost gain memory just to make everyone's life easier. They're gonna be exploited in the future. The game is getting faster, so I think it's best to restrict and get rid of these extra win more cards. Uh, Even better if you ban them, in my opinion. They should have also included Tropical Venom. I think that's fair. Just get rid of all of them. Get them out of here. The next thing we see is the Guilmon that can gain Rush. I think this is a great hit. I still doubt if it should have been a ban again. I don't know why Bandai does this. It's very rare that they actually ban a card, but they restrict cards left and right. And they never restrict at anything other than one. In my opinion, some of these cards deserve to be banned outright. That way they are not an issue ever. There's no randomly, oh, I played a game and I got lucky and I top decked this one card, yippee, I'm doing amazing, versus, oh no, I didn't get the one of, so now my deck is like 20% weaker. Just ban the cards, let the decks that rely on these cards heavily to either be slowed down a bit so that we slow down the power creep and we have the game actually be able to go on for longer, have more turns in the game, or if the deck ended up not really needing them, don't let that deck also have a card that just makes it so much more powerful if they just draw that one of. That's my opinion. Like, for example, Purple Hybrid is not really affected by this. Galamon is not really affected by this. Viamon X is another great example. All these decks really only played the Guilmon as a one-of, as like a finisher. Just maybe don't let that be a thing. But either way, restriction here is amazing. The EX3 Growlmon here, a lot of people are confused by. I think they just didn't want to heavily restrict the ability for Megidramon type decks to really function. You could still run a Megidramon deck. It's just going to be a lot weaker because you don't get to have almost infinite Rush Guilmon swings. And then the Growlmon here makes it so that you would have a stronger attack. Megidramon uses it to also fill up its trash more on the War Growl swing if you had another body out. And it makes it so that you can pop rush yields so that you could then play them out again. I think that's fair. Personally, I would have liked to see Growlmon X itself get hit. I don't love that they hit the Growlmon. That just makes it a bit faster instead of just hitting the Growlmon X. I do agree with not hitting the BT21 Growlmon because I don't think that's really doing too much here. The BT21 cards are, in my opinion, generally fair and balanced, but that Growlmon X is kind of a problem. I would have liked to see that get hit instead. And then we see a Garudamon X here get hit. I think this is birds just kind of catching a stray. I know that there was the Phoenixmon top end version of Megidramon, but I've played both for the Phoenixmon top end and just the Megidramon, or even without the Megidramon, just the Growl X and War Growl loops with the Arrestradramon superior mode. And those are a lot faster, a lot more reliable combos, because even though the Phoenixmon can OTK or whatever, so did the other decks, so did the other cards, and they just required less cards in hand in order to execute on that combo. So I think this is them, given that they restricted that Guillemon Rush, I would think that the Garudamon X would have easily been the quick pivot for these Megidramon or Growlmon X combo decks to go to, because it just gives something Rush almost without restriction. And so essentially they're like, we know that this is going to be a problem. Let's remove it. Kind of similar to them hitting the parabolic junks. I'm mostly good with this. I feel bad for any birds players, but I think this is kind of necessary nowadays. And then we have, like I mentioned, the Digivolution plugin S and the Sakuyamon. This is the Sakuyamon, like I mentioned, that's BT19. It lets you play out another token, which means it is also part of the reason why Sakuyamon can OTK suddenly by playing out so many tokens, stalling out a turn, and then having like tons of bodies to swing out with. Now it's saying it's like, well, you can't really have that many bodies because you restrict one of your other ways to play tokens. Obviously, you do still have the Sakuyamon X that plays a token that has Rush, but still, this is just one less token that can be played, keeping in mind that they already restricted the Kuzuhamon, so there's now even less ways for the deck to go wide. They've restricted all of the Sakuyamon that let you use a option card that isn't a plugin. So they're trying to force it back into a plugin type strategy. And I don't think they were gonna ever hit Yellow Scramble. That would be insane unless they hit all the scrambles, which might have been something that they could have done, but I think it makes sense that they didn't. So we did have to get the Digivolution plugin S to be restricted. I think that's fair. Royal Knights only getting Royal Knights of the Purge get hit. This is all right. I feel like they didn't hit any of Royal Knights' problem cards. Slightly worrying, but I think it's given the rest of the picture here, which is they didn't really neuter any deck completely. It seems like all the decks can still function. The only deck they've completely neutered is infinite turn combo stuff by hitting this Sayo and Co. But I think that's reasonable to not want to exist in your game. So I think that's all right. I'm fine with that being restricted. But yeah, it seems like they just wanted to like power down a little all the cards, which is why they've restricted the Valder Arm combo, but the Tsukuyamon X can still just scramble into a Ruin mode. I'm alright with that. I think that's fine. I would have liked to see like a pair ban with either uh or Yukon Ace. That seems like a bit of powerful card, but that's kind of Royal Knight's only like really good reliable removal, so I'm kind of fine with it. The other card, in my opinion, that deserves to get hit is the Genku, because the Genku letting you play Omnimon is insane. Omnimon X specifically is insane. I would like that card to be banned, and ideally a new Genkumon be reprinted that lets you only play level 6. This is fine to just touch down the Royal Knight's power levels. The last one is this Metal Garurumon EX1. A lot of people are confused about this. This is around this like gas deck, basically using this Metal Garurumon, plus you use the Sagittarius mode, Were Garurumon, and you use the Blitzgreymon Ace. So you hard play the Blitzgreymon Ace, Sagittarius triggers, lets you Evo into Metal Garurumon. Metal Garurumon gains you some memory back, and then Blitz Greymon on play lets you DNA. You DNA into the Alter S. The Alter S swings, end of attack. The Alter S then spits out the Sagittarius Garurumon and the Blitz Greymon. The Sagittarius Garurumon, then we'll see the Blitz Greymon again. Lets you evo into another Metal Garurumon. You DNA again, you swing again, so on and so forth. That's how that cycle goes. And you're gaining memory every time using this Metal Garurumon, so it being restricted to one makes sense if that deck was doing a lot in terms of tournament results. I don't really see it doing a lot. And the fact that you need like 3 Alter S's plus 3 Metal Garurumon in order to do that combo, like maybe you just need 2 to gain enough memory to keep turn, but like keeping in mind you're hard dropping a Blitz Greymon, you're gonna need at least 2 Metal Garurumon to keep turn, and then you're gonna need another Garurumon level 6. So it's I feel like it's way too much that the deck needs to actually like OTK. So I don't love it, and it can still just die in security. I don't agree with the hate for the deck. I think the deck is not that powerful, but it seems like people were complaining about it, so they just hit an old card that's not really used in anything else. I think it's fair to say, in my opinion, this is just Garurumon catching a stray again and not letting Garurumon cards be good, but it's alright. So overall, with this restriction list, I think it's good. I think it's a good restriction list. They hit cards that make sense to get hit overall, generally speaking, and considering the future. My only issue is maybe they didn't hit enough. Like, I look at this and I'm like, well, you've stopped like the main Valderarm combo from existing. So what is the meta gonna do against Imperial now? Imperial's only gotten one hit, and it started at Stingmon. Sure, that drew you cards and was played for 3, but the BT12 Stingmon was a bigger problem. The BT12 XVmon is a bigger problem. The Davis and Ken is a huge problem. How are none of those cards getting hit? That's where my mindset is when I look at this. I'm worried that Imperial's just gonna have its heyday again. I feel like the only reason people don't play Imperial is just they get bored of it. And when there's a new deck that can do the same in terms of like results as Imperial, people just gravitate towards that. It's not because Imperial necessarily fell off or is not good anymore. In the case of Sakuyama, like sure, the Valder arm kind of kept Imperial down, but Imperial was fast enough that it could have kind of stopped it. Like Imperial against like another popular deck like Kaguya, what does it do? What does Kaguya do? It can like try to set up blockers, but when the Pyldramon shows up, it's just gonna trash the sources out of everything, suspend everything, and so now that everything is a blocker doesn't matter. Your protection is gone. Your level 5 protection inherit is gone because that source is trashed. And they get to swing freely into your security. You have no way to stop that. That kind of leaves me the sour taste in my mouth. Like it goes up against Royal Knights, and it's just potentially faster. If the Royal Knights try to remove it, they can partition. Royal Knights can't always like go wide. The best thing they could do against it is Crimson mode. But again, if you Crimson mode the Pyldramon swing, they just partition and go into another Pyldramon that's not necessarily doing much for you in terms of letting you win. Is just forcing your opponent to have another Pyldramon, which is not that hard. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Imperial might be best deck in format after this. We'll see how that goes. So if you actually follow this link over here that they've put in here, it takes you to the rules where it has the banned and restricted card announcement, and they also haven't actually updated it. So you only have the old stuff. And speaking of the old stuff, in my opinion, BT17 Fenrir Lugamon really deserves to get removed from the ban list. I think the hate for this deck was unnecessary. I think people just don't like the idea of their memory being at like 2 and the opponent still doing stuff. I think that's in general, people don't like that idea, which is why the gas deck was his, because that's kind of what it's doing. But this deck, what was its biggest concern? It like has decent removal when it comes onto the field, and then it OTKs. But the OTK requires a lot of setups. You need a lot of cards in hand. It doesn't have any protection itself, and its removal can be protected against. You could do stuff to stop it. You could play out on a Mechamon on that last security being removed and evo into an Omni-X, and then the deck just crumbles. Its OTK can be stopped. It doesn't have protection. Its removal is decent, but not crazy powerful. And it's a combo deck that requires a lot of pieces. Like, we hit this card, we hit this deck, and we neutered it, and now it basically doesn't exist ever. You can play it with the BT14 Fenrir Lugamon, but it is noticeably weaker. And then we printed a whole bunch of cards that allowed for OTK decks everywhere that also have protection. Other cards that, in my opinion, can be unrestricted is if you go down to like quite old. You're looking at stuff like there's an argument for New on X to be unrestricted, though a New Memon player did top in Oceania. Uh, like the old Gabumons. I mean, I feel bad for the Gabumons. I don't know if this card would do a lot. I mean, maybe, sure, but like, I feel like I would like for Bandai to go back and start unrestricting some, not all of these, but like the Gabumon maybe is worth unrestricting. This Mach Galgamon, is it really that big of a deal nowadays? I don't think it's that big of a deal. So I think this also deserves unrestricting. Similarly, the Eismon Scatter mode, I think they already unrestricted the Savior Huck. And then if you go down, we have like Blossomon is a maybe. This Rigorumon is a maybe. Grand Kawagamon. Like, why not? Like, some of these deserve to be removed. Like, Doru Greymon, why is this guy still restricted? Like, back then, okay, sure, Sec plus one, repeatable Sec plus one, and protection from DP and bottom deck or return to hand. Like, okay, that's kind of powerful, but not really anymore. Shaman X4, maybe. Like, I would like them to remove some of these or test, maybe on your own terms, test some of these and see what they're like unrestricted. But yeah, I really am curious if they're gonna update this page to include the new ones because I like seeing their reasoning for removing cards. Because obviously this is just me looking at these cards and trying to come up with reasons for why they would be hit, given what I've seen in the game. But I would really like it if they actually give us their reason. What is their proper opinion on why they're hitting stuff? Interesting to know also, for any of you newer players, we do have an errata card list. So if you want to come here and you'll see all the cards that are errata'd, I would recommend downloading this PDF since it's a bit slow, but you can see all the cards that have erratas. These erratas are not actually them trying to fix any cards. These erratas are purely because they misprinted the card's effect test. So it's important to know. Like they misprinted what overclock does, but nowadays they don't even print what that does. But yes, it's important to look these up. It's important to know what these actually do. And the last thing I wanted to go over now is my decks and what I'm looking to do. So I still love Mirage. I still mess around with Mirage Galgamon as a deck. Personally, I run the BT4 Mirage, and that's because I care about that memory. Because and you get like one, maybe two swings unblockable. That's pretty good, in my opinion. I want the jamming inherits, and other than that, you have floodgates because the only level 3 you really care about is this Galmon. The deck still functions. It is very piece reliant. It is reliant on its tamers, but you can't play too many of the tamers because you can't brick on them. So obviously it's not a great deck. I wouldn't call it that, but I think it's fun. I still enjoy playing the deck, so I still have it built, and this is what I've been messing around with. If any of you are interested in playing Mirage again, then we have a Batamon. This is what I've been doing with a Batamon. Um, I actually played it recently. The only thing I feel like the deck would like is maybe if we can fit in an Ultimate Flare. I just feel like it's so rare that the Digivolve 3 actually gets you to remove a play cost 3 or less, and not all decks have a bunch of play cost 3 or less on the board. I feel like I'd like a Power Crept Ultimate Flare. For newer players, look, checking out Ultimate Flare de-digivolves 3 one of opponent's Digimon, and then it deletes all your opponent's Digimon with play cost 3 or less. I feel like nowadays it could be de-digivolve 5 to get around all the X antibody and shenanigans that slot cards under and whatever. and you can have it delete like at least play cost 4 or less, because there's level 3s that are for play cost 4, and there's even like level 4s that I think are deserve to be able, like for this card at 8 cost to be able to hit. That's the main reason why I'm not playing it, but the idea here is that you're mainly a control deck. I'm playing analog youths for that. I'm playing Mimi to stop people from playing option cards and to slow them down if they're trying to set up. And also it makes my scrambles better. It makes Laplace's Demon better. It makes anytime I want to play Memboost better. I'm only playing 9 scatter modes. It's felt fine. It would be sometimes I feel like it would be nice to have more, but I don't think it's necessary because with this Eismo scatter mode and the 4 Soundbird mod, like that's 13 effectively quote unquote rookies. I'm fine with that. That's a good number to have. I'm running the Cyber Dramon, Ace at 2, the Dark Dramon, Ace at 2. This is just to stop my opponent from doing too many things, to be able to try to slow them down on my turn. Um, but I don't want to like clog my deck with it. I really like the Izzy and Joe, because it kind of disincentivizes my opponent from going wide, and if they're going to go wide regardless, then I'm going to benefit. I would prefer to play this card over putting a tie on the field, but I'd like to have both. They both draw you cards. Izzy and Joe draws you a card when they remove something from your field, which, you know, another disincentivization. And then obviously you have Digimon Emperor to try to slow them down even more. I've been liking this deck. I don't think it's gonna do too much in this format. It's just a fun tier 2 deck that I mess around with when I'm not trying to play seriously. I didn't mention it before, but the order of the decks I'm gonna go with is the ones that are more fun to play first, and then I'm gonna go over the decks that are like my more serious decks. Then we have Alphamon. I like Alphamon a lot. I don't super care to build the CS because I like Dorumon. Dorumon is my boy. Alphamon is just one of his top ends. The idea with this deck is you want to go into an Alphamon. This Alphamon lets you swing twice, and then you can Mega Digimon Assembly with an Oryumon, either one, into an Oryukin Ace. That lets you trash a card, recover a card, so that does a third check, and then you gain 3 memory because you trashed the card. So the Mega Digimon Assembly is effectively a 1 cost. And because you're DNAing, it's a new Digimon, so it's unsuspended. And now you can either swing and trash one, or swing and unsuspend so you can swing again, and then your UGs can let you swing more. Or if you end up getting these Doru Greymon, you get to have Sec +1. It's fun. Again, it's tier 2. It's a combo deck. It can OTK for sure, but it requires way too many pieces to do it, and it doesn't always have protection. It's just for fun. This is what I like to play. So this is the other deck that this is what I was messing around with in the DM event, because I wanted to play Machine Dramon again. So I put together a DM Machine Dramon list. It's fun to play. Again, not amazing. The idea here is that obviously you can use this as your quote unquote training, but Protein also lets you unsuspend, right? Removing 2 face down cards. And so with the Mega Dramon as well, you can now unsuspend 3 times, and then you can go into Chaos Dramon to slot the Mega Dramon back in, and then you can unsuspend another time. Yeah, so it's just fun. Mess around with. Um, Not that great. And now we're switching over to like more serious decks. Uh, I'm not a Royal Knights player. I'm not an Imperial player. I think these are strong. I don't play Sakuyamon either. But one thing I did see is Ben, if you guys have seen his content, did a Machine Dramon list. This is more or less his list. Really, the only difference between his list and my list is I've included, instead of 2 Chaos Dramons, I included 1 Chaos Dramon and 1 Chaos Dramon X. Chaos Dramon X costs 1 more to Evo, but it can get uh, on Evo effect of this, or the on Evo effect of the Chaos Dramon, so it can potentially be 1 extra swing. Um, this deck is using the Gigimon and Growlmon X base, so I honestly thought this deck was going to go away. It's a more serious deck, but I still think it's kind of slow for the meta. Also, I do play the Rise Greymon for more sec +1 to kind of guarantee that OTK. Um, yeah, it's mostly his list. I'm gonna link his video in the description. The next deck I'm playing is Gallantmon. I love Gallantmon. Um, and deck is works pretty well. I've had a lot of experience piloting it. You still need to get lucky, or your opponent needs to get unlucky. But yeah, neither of these lists that I've showed you have been really affected by the restrictions, so I'm really fine there. Yeah, it's just fun to play, fun to pilot. I like the deck. I feel like everyone knows what Galamon does. This isn't anything crazy. And then moving on, we have my uh, Light Claw Night Fang deck. I really do like this deck. Obviously, Ko and Sayo have been hit. What I think I'm going to do is just -2 here, +1 and +1. I think that's what I would do. This gives me more aggro. This lets you still evo for cheap and gain memory. I think that makes sense. I like the deck overall. I played it the other day. Did pretty decent. I lost to an Omnimon deck, but in the final rounds of a locals, obviously this locals is nothing crazy. But I only lost because I bricked, so I feel pretty good still about the deck. Lunamon is not super important to have as a rookie. Like maybe it's better later on if you get a chance. You really want Coronamon in there, and so I play this Lunamon in a 3 of to get search. Just more search, please, more search. And I tried to balance out the Light Claw and the Night Fang numbers so the searches can more frequently hit 2 instead of hitting just 1. Yeah, this is the list I'm playing with. I do like it a lot. I do like that the unsuspend uh, and the attack end of turn, both inherits and effects, can let you do a lot of crazy stuff. It can let this deck actually get to the point where it's like OTKing or closer to OTKing, the Dianamon being good removal. I like the deck. I think the deck is decent. I think it has a chance to do well, but we'll have to see how it fares in the meta as the meta now evolves with the restriction list. And then the last thing is Kaguya. I'm going to be honest, this is probably not really an optimized list. Personally, I wasn't trying to play the promo Arisas. That's because I don't know, I didn't. I'm kind of stuck in my old ways of playing this deck as more aggro, with having some control elements. So this is what I'm doing, but I have a buddy of mine that's running like properly full 4 Kaguya, only 2 Central, like that whole line. You should be playing the Namekemon. This guy right here, he is a puppet, so you can evolve on him with any of your level 5s because they evolve on puppets. And then he lets you, if you have 3 or more security card, one of your Digimon can't have its DP reduced, and it's not affected by D-Digivolve, so it can protect, almost basically fully protect your Kaguya and your Nyaboots, which are there to like stall your opponent to stop them from popping off on you. Uh, so I think you should be playing him probably at a 2 of, which means there's an argument to also play the one from the starter deck right here, because it's black, it's a puppet, lets you draw trash too, so it's cycle, lets you put cards in your trash for your Kaguya to play, and it's black, so in case you're bricked on it, you can evo that Namekamon. Um, but yeah, like I mentioned, I'm kind of stuck in my ways. And a buddy of mine is playing this more controlled, so I'm just trying to play this a bit more aggro. Plus, this deck is mostly for my wife, so I had to include the Tobu Kamon. I feel like that was a that wasn't really up to me. I had to include him. He's too cute for her to not play. Um, so that's kind of why I'm not running that, and then I'm trying to not run and not rely on the promo Arisa, though I do see how powerful that she can be. Yeah, that's it for my opinion on the new restriction and what I think the meta is going and what I think could be good, as well as talking through my decks and what I've been having fun with. If you guys enjoyed this content, please let me know by liking, subscribing, commenting. Let me know what you guys are playing nowadays. Let me know what you think of this ban list. Let me know if there was cards that you expected to get hit to come out of the ban list. Feel free to give your opinion down in the comments below. And like I mentioned, I'm going to be putting the link to that infinite turn combo that's now gone, but if anyone was curious about it, as well as the Machine Dramon deck profile by Ben Men, if you guys are interested in hearing out how those work. Thanks for watching and stopping by, and I'll see you guys in the next one.